can't heal while holding on. That's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. See, we think we can carry the weight of betrayal and still walk like we're free. We think we can clutch the hands of those who wounded us and still reach for peace. But healing doesn't happen while your heart is still tied to the people or places that broke it. It happens when you surrender. When you say, God, I've tried to fix it, I've tried to change them. I've replayed the pain 1,000 times, but now I give it to you. Some of us are walking around bleeding from wounds that we refuse to treat, not because we don't want to be healed, but because we don't want to let go of who or what caused it. We sit in rooms full of memories, hoping something will change, hoping they'll come back and say sorry, hoping life will rewind itself and undo the pain. But friend, that's not how healing works. Healing begins the moment you stop rehearsing the pain and start releasing the people. You've got to stop romanticizing what God is trying to remove. Stop trying to resurrect dead things. If it ended, if they walked away, if the door closed, trust that it closed for a reason. Holding on might feel familiar, but that doesn't make it right. Sometimes we cling to what's hurting us because we're afraid of the unknown. But hear me, freedom lies on the other side of letting go. There's a story in Scripture about Lot's wife. God was rescuing her from destruction, giving her a way out, a new future, a fresh start. But what did she do? She looked back, and in that moment she turned into a pillar of salt, frozen, stuck in the past. She couldn't move forward because her heart was still behind her. And I wonder how many of us today are just like her, not physically but emotionally. Paralyzed by what we won't release, stuck because we won't stop looking back. Let me tell you something, you are not obligated to carry pain just because you love someone. You are not required to keep breaking just because they couldn't handle your worth. If someone had the chance to stay and they still chose to go, let them. Don't keep shrinking yourself just to make someone else comfortable in your presence. Your healing is more important than their approval. You've got dreams inside you that will never breathe as long as you keep holding your breath for someone who left. You've got purpose in you that can't stretch out if you keep cramming yourself into rooms where you're only tolerated. Don't you see it? The longer you hold on, the more you delay your healing. You keep praying for peace, but God can't fill a heart that's already full of bitterness, resentment, and memories that no longer serve you. And I get it, it's hard. It's hard to let go of people you thought you'd grow old with. It's hard to accept that the love you gave won't be returned the way you gave it. But hard doesn't mean impossible. You're not doing this alone. The same God who carried you through the fire will carry you through the letting go. The same God who saw your tears at midnight will give you strength at dawn. You just have to be willing to trust Him with your healing. Trust Him with your future. Trust Him with your broken heart. Stop chasing closure. Stop chasing validation. Stop trying to convince someone to see your value. You are already chosen. You are already loved. And your destiny is not tied to those who left. Your healing is not in their hands. It's in His. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not walking into something new. It's walking away from what you thought you needed. It's standing in the silence of goodbye and still choosing joy. It's sitting in the middle of your loneliness and still saying, God, I believe you've got better for me. That kind of faith changes everything. That kind of faith heals wounds no person could ever reach. So today, let them go. Let the past go. Let the pain go. Let the apology that never came go. You are not who they said you were. You are not what they did to you. You are not what you lost. You are what God is restoring. And when you finally lay it down, when you unclench your fists and surrender, that hurt peace will come in like a river. Healing will rise like the sun. And your soul will breathe again. Let them go. Stop pouring into people who leave you empty. That's a hard lesson for a kind heart. When you love deeply, you give deeply. You pour and pour, hoping one day they'll see the value of your sacrifice. But what happens when they never do? What happens when your kindness becomes their convenience? When your loyalty becomes a doormat? When the more you give, the less they see? Some of us are drained. Not because life is too heavy, but because we're busy filling up people who never intended to pour back into us. We think it's love, but sometimes it's just fear in disguise, fear of losing people, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough unless we're constantly performing, constantly giving, constantly proving. But hear this, you are not called to bleed for people who won't even reach for a bandage when you're hurting. You're not called to be empty just so someone else can be full. Love is not supposed to deplete you. Real love, God's love, nourishes, restores, and strengthens. So if a relationship is draining your spirit, if it's costing you your peace, your purpose, your joy, then it's time to reevaluate who you're pouring into. You see, some people don't come to grow with you, they come to take from you. And as long as you keep letting them, they will. They'll take your energy, your time, your forgiveness, your patience, and leave you with questions, confusion, and a heart full of sorrow. But God never told you to make yourself a reservoir for people who only show up when they're thirsty. There's a story in the Gospels where Jesus met a Samaritan woman at the well. She came with an empty jar, thinking she needed water, but what she really needed was truth. She had poured herself out trying to find worth in people 5 husbands, and the man she was wasn't even her husband. She kept pouring and pouring into relationships that left her empty. But Jesus didn't shame her. He offered her living water. He told her, if you drink what I give you, you'll never thirst again. That's what God is trying to do in your life. He's not asking you to stop loving. He's asking you to stop settling. Stop giving sacred parts of yourself to people who don't respect them. Stop investing in connections that bankrupt your soul. Some of us keep walking into rooms where we're invisible, just hoping this time they'll see us. But your value is not based on whether they see you. Your value is fixed, sealed by the hand of the one who made you. And I know it's not easy to pull back, especially when you've built your identity around being the strong one, the dependable one, the one who's always there. But sometimes strength means learning to say no. Sometimes love means walking away. Sometimes obedience means choosing your own healing over their comfort. Don't confuse loyalty with bondage. Don't confuse grace with self-neglect. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowd to be alone with the Father. Even he knew that constant pouring without refilling leads to exhaustion. If the Son of God took time to refill, what makes you think you can live drained and still thrive? The truth is, some people like you better broken. They're comfortable with your silence, your sacrifice, your second guessing. But the moment you start honoring yourself, the moment you stop explaining your worth, the moment you stop overextending, that's when their comfort ends and your healing begins. Let God teach you the difference between a divine assignment and a draining attachment. Not everyone you're trying to save was meant to be carried. Not every relationship is a mission. Some are distractions, some are tests, and some are lessons painful, yes, but necessary. You are not the solution to everyone's problems. You are not the source of everyone's happiness. You were not created to lose yourself in the process of loving others. When you keep giving to those who only take, you are robbing the people God has truly assigned to your life, the ones who will honor your presence, reciprocate your love, and walk with you in purpose. You don't have to beg to be loved. You don't have to plead to be chosen. The right people won't drain you. The right people won't use your kindness as currency. The right people will value your heart and protect your peace. So today, take your heart back. Take your energy back. Take your time, your spirit, your joy back. Let God fill you again. Let Him remind you that being empty for others is not holy, it's harmful. It's not your calling to lose your light, just to brighten someone else's darkness. The ones who are meant to walk with you will never need to see you broken just to feel whole. Let God surround you with those who pour back, who build, who stay not just when they need you, but because they see you. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Sometimes we get so caught up in the noise and the chaos of relationships that we forget to ask ourselves a simple but powerful question. Who am I really letting in? Who am I giving the honor of being close to my heart, close to my dreams, close to my peace? You see, life isn't about collecting people. It's about knowing who belongs where. It's about understanding that your energy is precious, your spirit is sacred, and not everyone is invited to walk alongside you. Some people are only meant to pass through to teach you a lesson, to test your faith, to show you your own strength, and then leave. And that's okay. That's part of the journey. We live in a world that tells us to always keep the door open, to always forgive, to always give second chances. And while grace is beautiful, it's not a license for you to keep letting people in who don't respect your boundaries. You were made for more than just tolerance. You were made for peace. And peace requires protection. There's a difference between loving people and letting people love you in a way that nourishes your soul. Sometimes we confuse kindness with weakness and generosity with being a doormat. But God calls us to be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. That means you can love deeply without allowing anyone to trample over your heart. Think about the people in your life. Who lifts you up? Who encourages your faith? Who speaks life into your dreams? Those are the ones who deserve a front row seat. The ones who bring light when you're walking through darkness. The ones who stand with you not just in good times but in storms. They are rare. They are precious. But then there are others, those who criticize, who drain your spirit, who bring confusion and chaos. They demand your attention but never your respect. They ask for your time but never your trust. They come into your life like a storm, shaking your foundation, then leaving you to pick up the pieces. You don't owe those people a place in your heart. You don't owe them space in your mind. You don't owe them an explanation for protecting yourself. You were never meant to carry everyone's baggage. Your soul is not a free storage unit for their issues. Remember the story of Jesus and his disciples. Even Jesus was selective about who he invited to walk closely with him. He didn't try to please everyone. He didn't let every crowd dictate his peace. He chose those who were ready, those who were willing, those who were faithful. If Jesus, who came to save the world, knew the importance of boundaries, how much more should we? It's not selfish to protect your heart. It's not prideful to say no to people who cause you harm. It's wisdom. It's survival. And it's necessary if you want to thrive. When you stop trying to make everyone like you, when you stop chasing approval from those who don't see your worth, you begin to understand your true value. You begin to walk in the freedom God intended for you. You begin to experience joy that is not dependent on others' acceptance, but anchored in God's love. Your life is a garden. Who you let in determines what grows there. If you let weeds take root, no matter how much you water, the flowers will struggle. But when you protect your garden, when you clear out the weeds and nurture the soil, you create a space where beauty can flourish. So be intentional. Be discerning. Love without condition, yes, but also protect without apology. You don't have to explain your choices to anyone. You don't have to justify the fences you build. Your peace is your right. Your boundaries are your responsibility. And as you walk this road, remember this: sometimes the hardest part of loving yourself is learning to let go of the people who don't belong in your story anymore. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is believing that God will bring the right people to stand with you, even if it means walking alone for a season. You were made to shine. You were made to be free. And freedom comes when you stop trying to fit everyone into your life and start making room for those who truly matter. Isolation is not rejection, it's redirection. When someone walks away from your life, it's easy to feel abandoned, to think that you've been left behind or forgotten. The pain of being left alone is real, and no one can tell you otherwise. It cuts deep like a knife twisting inside your heart. But there is a truth, a greater truth that many miss when faced with this kind of loneliness. That truth is that being left alone does not mean you are unwanted. Being left alone does not mean you are unloved. Sometimes it means exactly the opposite, that God is preparing you for something greater, something better. You see, there's a difference between being rejected by people and being redirected by God. People may turn their backs on you, but God never does. When doors close, when friends disappear, when loved ones leave, It may feel like the end, but it's often the beginning. The beginning of a new season, a fresh chapter written by the hand of the one who knows your destiny better than you do. In the Bible, Joseph's life is a perfect example of this. Sold by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, then a prison, Joseph's isolation was painful and unjust. He was alone in a foreign land with no family to lean on, no familiar faces, no comfort. But that isolation was not rejection. It was God's way of redirecting Joseph to the place where he would become a leader, a savior for many during famine. If Joseph had stayed with his brothers, if he hadn't been isolated, he never would have fulfilled the purpose God had for him. What looked like rejection was actually God's plan unfolding. Sometimes the people you love the most will leave not because they don't care, but because God is moving you both on different paths. You may feel like you're losing them, but what you're really experiencing is a divine shift. Your isolation becomes a sacred space, a place where God begins to mold you, shape you, and prepare you for the future. Loneliness, painful as it is, can be a holy place. It's where you meet yourself without distraction. It's where your faith is tested and your character built. It's where God whispers truth to your heart, reminding you that you are never truly alone. Sometimes the silence is necessary so you can hear His voice more clearly. Don't mistake being alone for being forgotten. Don't believe the lie that if you're isolated, you've been abandoned. God's timing is perfect. His plan is perfect. And often the people who leave were never meant to walk with you through the journey you are about to take. Isolation is not punishment. It's a call to come deeper. It's an invitation to grow beyond what you thought possible. It's a time to heal wounds that no one else could reach, to develop strength that only solitude can forge. God uses these quiet moments to prepare you for greater victories, greater blessings, greater impact. I know it's hard. I know the nights feel longer when you're alone. I know the silence screams louder when no one is there to fill it. But remember this, the same God who parted the Red Sea, who brought water from a rock, who raised the dead, He is with you in your isolation. He is working behind the scenes. He is writing a story of restoration and redemption in your life. You are not defined by who leaves. You are defined by who remains God's everlasting presence in your heart. And when the time is right, He will send the right people, the right opportunities, and the right blessings to fill your life with purpose again. So when you find yourself alone, don't despair. Don't run from the silence or try to fill it with anything less than God. Embrace the redirection. Trust the process. Believe that this season of isolation is making room for something greater than you can imagine. Sometimes the hardest battle you'll face isn't against others, it's against yourself. We are often our own harshest critics, our own worst enemies. The voices inside our heads can be louder than any outside noise. They tell us we're not enough, that we're failures, that we're unworthy of love or success. These lies chip away at our confidence, steal our peace, and keep us from stepping into the fullness of the life God has planned for us. But here is the truth: you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are created with a purpose that no one else can fulfill. The enemy wants you to believe otherwise. He wants you to focus on your mistakes, your flaws, your setbacks, so you never rise up. But God's word tells us that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. That means your story isn't over. Your purpose isn't canceled. Your calling isn't postponed. The moment you start to believe the lies you tell yourself, you become your own prison guard. You lock yourself in a cell built of self-doubt and insecurity. You become the reason you don't move forward. But God's grace is bigger than your mistakes. His mercy is deeper than your failures. And His love is greater than all the voices telling you to quit. The struggle to focus on yourself means learning to fight those inner battles with the same intensity you might fight external battles. It means standing firm against the thoughts that want to tear you down. It means reminding yourself daily that you are loved, you are chosen, and you are enough. Not because of what you do, but because of who God says you are. You've got to guard your heart. The Bible tells us above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your mindset, they shape your actions and your destiny. If you allow negative thoughts to reign unchecked, they will dictate your path. But if you choose to fill your mind with truth, with hope, with faith, you begin to change the narrative. Imagine what your life would look like if every time the enemy whispered, "You can't," you answered, "I can through Christ who strengthens me." Imagine if every time doubt tried to chain you, faith broke the bonds. Imagine living with the confidence that comes from knowing your worth isn't tied to your achievements, but to God's unchanging love. It's not easy. The battle is real. Some days you'll lose ground, feel weak, and want to give up. But the key is not to stay down. The key is to get up, to keep fighting, to keep pressing forward. The journey to focusing on yourself, on your healing and growth is a daily choice, a daily commitment to silence the lies and amplify the truth. Remember David, a man after God's own heart. He faced giants, betrayals, failures, and fears, yet he refused to let those things define him. When the enemy told him he was nothing, David said, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." When your self-doubt threatens to overwhelm you, you too can declare God's promises over your life. You are more than your past. You are more than your circumstances. You are a child of the Most High God, called to walk in victory and purpose. When you focus on yourself in this way, nurturing your spirit, renewing your mind, strengthening your faith, you prepare yourself to walk into the blessings God has waiting for you. So fight the battle within with courage and hope. Stand firm in the truth of who you are. Let go of the lies and embrace the promises. Your worth is not determined by others, but by the Creator who made you and loves you beyond measure. There is a powerful freedom that comes when you finally decide to let go, not just of the people who no longer serve your purpose, but of the expectations, the burdens, the need to control every outcome. So often we carry around heavy weights that are not ours to bear. We try to manage others, to fix situations, to hold on tight to what is slipping away, all while losing sight of the one person we were meant to invest in first, ourselves. Letting go is not giving up. It is not surrendering to failure or weakness. No, letting go is an act of faith. It is a declaration that you trust God's timing and His plan more than your own fears and desires. It is choosing peace over chaos, hope over despair, and life over lingering in a place of pain. When you let go, you make space for God's blessings to flow in ways you never imagined. There is a reason God tells us to cast our cares upon Him, for He cares for us. You don't have to carry the weight of everyone else's decisions, mistakes, or misunderstandings. When you release your grip, you are not abandoning responsibility. You are recognizing your limits and inviting God to take control. This act opens your hands to receive His grace, His strength, and His guidance. Sometimes holding on feels safer, it feels familiar. Even if it's painful, even if it's toxic, we convince ourselves that holding on is the only way to keep control, the only way to keep love alive. But that is a lie. Holding on to what hurts you only prolongs the suffering and blocks the blessings. True strength is knowing when to release what no longer serves your growth or your peace. Letting go also means forgiving not just others but yourself. Forgiveness breaks the chains of bitterness and regret. It frees your heart from the prison of past hurts. You may have made mistakes, you may have been hurt deeply, but forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to healing. When you forgive, you reclaim your power and allow God's healing to begin. It's important to remember that letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you care enough about your own soul to protect it. It means you acknowledge that some battles are not yours to fight, and that it's okay to step back and allow God to fight for you. When you do this, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to change what cannot be changed. There is a story in the Scriptures about Jesus teaching His disciples to let go of worry. He said, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothes?" He urged them to trust in God's provision, to focus on what truly matters, and to let go of the things that distract and weigh them down. Your life is precious, it's too valuable to waste on people or situations that drain your spirit. Letting go means making a conscious choice to protect your peace. It means choosing to focus on your growth, your dreams, and the beautiful future God has prepared for you. When you release the past and those who do not uplift you, you open your heart to new possibilities. You allow room for relationships that nurture your soul, for opportunities that align with your purpose, and for blessings that flow from God's hand. Letting go is not an end, but a beginning, a new chapter filled with hope, strength, and divine peace. So take a deep breath and step forward with confidence. Trust that God's grace is sufficient for every step you take. Release what no longer serves you and embrace the freedom that comes with surrender. In letting go, you discover the power of trusting God's perfect plan. Letting go is the doorway to your breakthrough.